Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mihir Bhatt from Zee Business. A very warm welcome to all esteemed guests on behalf of Zee and BSE. It's a special evening for all of us. Almost 20 years ago, when I was a child, I always used to wonder that my television set has 12 channels, but why I get to see only one channel. And then suddenly one day, when I was back from school, I saw bright and colorful Zee on my TV screen. Obviously, I was unaware of the fact that Indian audience was being catapulted to global experience of satellite television. Zee was born. And since then, it has remained the last word in Indian media and entertainment industry. We are proud to be the largest and only true Indian media and entertainment company. It was right here at the BSE, Asia's oldest and most recognized stock exchange, that country's first media and entertainment listing happened. What was then a 24 crore IPO, I'm happy to share with you, is today worth more than 28,000 crore. Without taking much of your time, I would now like to invite Shri Ashish Chauhan, CEO, Bombay Stock Exchange, and Shri Subhash Chandra, Chairman Zee NSL, to please come on stage and light the customary lamp to begin the proceedings. Please. What many people did not realize 20 years ago was the fact that this was beginning of a whole new industry in India which never existed before Zee was born. So give them a huge round of applause, please. Thank you. I would now like to invite Shri Ashish Chauhan, CEO, Bombay Stock Exchange, to come on stage, please, and deliver a welcome address. Sir.
A very warm welcome to everyone present here. It's my pleasure to have Mr. Subhash Chandra, Chairman of Zee Entertainment Enterprises and the entire Zee family at the BSE today. It's a momentous occasion for Zee Group on having completed 20 years of its successful journey. On behalf of Asia's first stock exchange, BSE, I would like to congratulate the entire Zee family. The electronic media industry has changed over the last couple of decades and has in course become the voice of a common man. I have known Mr. Chandra since long. Mr. Chandra is a pioneer in the field of media and entertainment and has changed the way many Indians look at media today. It has indeed been an eventful journey, and Mr. Chandra has a lot to be proud of. Beginning with one channel in 1992 to 31 channels today, and still counting, Zee Entertainment Enterprises Limited has indeed come a long way. From stock market perspective, Zee has generated year-on-year returns of nearly 30% since its listing on BSE. Zee Entertainment is one of India's leading television, media, and entertainment companies. It's amongst the largest producers and aggregators of Hindi programming in the world. Zee also houses the world's largest Hindi film library. Through its strong presence worldwide, Zee entertains millions of viewers, in fact billions of viewers across 168 countries. BSE has had a very cordial relationship with Zee Business for a long time now, and I must appreciate their commitment to share accurate news with our broker members on time. In this era of business journalism, Zee Business has taken efforts to ensure the quality and consistency while reporting on the markets and the Indian economy as a whole. Zee today has become a household name, offering a variety of shows in entertainment, national news, as well as financial literacy. We have seen families sit together and watch daily programs together due to Zee. I would like to extend my best wishes to Zee Group and its entire team on this momentous occasion. I wish Zee Group all the success in its future endeavors, and I hope we will be there to also celebrate 50 years of Zee listing and 100 years of Zee listing. Thank you very much, sir, for coming to Bombay Stock Exchange.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to invite the man himself. Mr. Subhash Chandra, please come on stage and share your views, your vision for the Indian television industry and the industry which was practically launched and started by you in India.
Thank you very much. Shri Ashish Chauhan, CEO of Bombay Stock Exchange, friends, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to be here today on completion of Zee's 20 years. I'm also seeing a lot of faces in this August gathering, those who have been right through this 20 years of journey. And in fact, some of them started even with me much before even 20 years. So I'm grateful to all of you who are present here and those who shared those anxious moments when we were yet to start. Thank you very much for all your support. At times I feel that it started just yesterday. But when there are some challenging times, challenging moments, then it feels like a whole lifetime. So I really can't say that it was a journey which was very smooth, as Ashish ji have said. Undoubtedly, the company has delivered 30% year-on-year return to the shareholders. But what has gone behind it, I'm sure more than, I would say even not only the people working with the group, but also many friends from this stock exchange at least know quite a lot. When we started, none of us knew that this industry will grow, or Zee will grow with that kind of pace, that kind of numbers in every which way. I'm sure all of you here, at least this gathering, knows quite a lot about this journey of 20 years. But what is not being talked about by most people, I was just talking to a few friends last week, and we went into our library. We had then taken pictures on Bombay streets just before we were starting, just a day before we were starting. We took about 5 photographers. We said, Bombay colleges mein jaiye, streets pe jaiye, go to the markets. Similar exercise we did in Delhi. And friends, believe you me, that when we did the same exercise in 1995, you could see the visible difference in the dressing of the youth, their thinking about issues, their talks, a lot of things. What Zee and other people, those who joined in this journey later, have done, I think nobody talks about. It has really changed the way Indians think, the way they behave, the way they look at the life, whether it is in the business or whether it is personal life or any which way. I was asked this question, and I'm sure many of you will ask me that what's the next, what is the future plan? Some people ask me, what is next 20 years? So I said, it's a dynamic industry. I can't say what next 20 years, but certainly next 5 to 7 years, we can say 2020, we have certain plans worked out, or the managing director of the company and his team has worked out, which the board has more or less blessed it. And they have to come up with specific proposals for approval, though, that from today, Zee Group or Zee Network globally having 670 million viewers, they have to grow in excess of 1 billion viewers before 2020. So with this, friends, thank you very much for all your support, for you joining us in our celebrations, and hope that we will continue to get all your support in the coming times as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
जी नेटवर्क को बहुत बहुत बधाइयाँ। हमारा पर्सनल इन्वॉल्वमेंट इसके जन्म और जन्म से पहले से भी रहा है, इसलिए बहुत ही खुशी की बात है। ये नेटवर्क को आगे बहुत जाना है, क्योंकि इस नेटवर्क के पीछे जो लोग हैं वो वाकई दूरदृष्टा हैं और बहुत ही अच्छे व्यापारी हैं। अर्थात दाम भी कमाना है और काम भी अच्छा करना है, तो ऐसी कंपनियां आगे कस्टमर्स के लिए, व्यूअर्स के लिए बहुत कुछ करेगी, ऐसा मुझे पूर्ण विश्वास है।
जी ने एक इंडस्ट्री को संवारा, उसको बनाया। 20 साल में जी ने इंडस्ट्री को भी काफ़ी आगे और एक मिसाल बन गया इंडस्ट्री के लिए और बाकी सब इंडस्ट्रीज के लिए भी, कि आप टेक्नोलॉजी को यूज़ करके कैसे नई इंडस्ट्री खड़ी कर सकते हो, कैसे आप एक वेल्थ इन्वेस्टर्स के लिए क्रिएट कर सकते हो। 30% returns year on year for 20 years is a very, very good achievement, at least from the investor's perspective. So it's my, what I call wish, that many such companies come up and Zee continues to prosper and grow. So my best wishes.
We'll start now. Sir, obviously my first question is for you. And like I mentioned that, when we were in school or when we were kids, this was something which was totally unknown to us, to an extent that we didn't even know that a channel can have a logo, because at that point Doordarshan did not even have that identity. But of course that was the only channel. How this thought was born in your minds of launching something like this in India, practically taking entertainment to people's home directly?
Well, you have answered in your question the issue. The question was how to bring entertainment closer to the home to the people. Because our group had entered into entertainment via the SL World Entertainment Park. And infrastructure being very weak those days at where SL World is located. So only 1/3 guests came as more than the market research had suggested. So that's why the question was that how to bring entertainment closer to the home. And I think I will hope that our guests this evening would have a hearty laugh at that the first thought came to us was that let us take 550 vans and put each van in each district of this country. Start the programs in the evening at the same time everywhere. Show free behind the van. And that's how let's bring entertainment closer to people. Then it was told that the cinema walas will never allow that to happen. They will break your vans. This took us to the thought that let's put the old barges around the country into the sea, put the transmitters facing towards India, go to Nepal government and ask them to allow us to put the transmitters across on the Himalayas, and that's how let us cover and bring beam programming. That also was naturally rejected very quickly. And then we were lucky to have a very good technical person in Doordarshan who prepared a report that the satellite television is the only answer. And that's what you see today.
Absolutely. Mr. Vallabh, my next question is for you. When this proposal came to you first, that Zee wants to go public and this was an industry which did not exist before Zee in India. And of course, you have been associated with a lot of such IPOs which have now created immense wealth. But at that point, first time when you saw the proposal, which was the first thought which came to your mind?
Firstly, as you said, we are very excited about new sectors. The second thing for us always is the man behind the idea. And I had known Mr. Chandra for 10 years before that. And I was a part of the journey of SL Packaging and of SL World to some extent. So I knew the commitment that he had to whatever he did. SL Packaging today is like a household name and it's not the excitement. But in 1983, when we did the IPO of SL Packaging, it was a very revolutionary thing even then to be able to see toothpaste delivered from a plastic tube instead of the, very scraggy kind of tube that used to be. So it was the commitment of the person that was the most important thing. But to be honest, did we see that this will become so huge? It was not possible because the advertising pie was very limited. We did not know how much television will be able to grab and so on. So it was rather easy for me at times to be even more excited about it than the man himself. That no, this is going to go a long distance.
But did you expect at that point that this will be the beginning of a new industry itself in India?
I think post-91, the general feeling that India can change dramatically had started to come. And I would say not only 1991 or post-1991, but even in 1985, there was the first big run-up in stock market in India after almost 20 years. So I think that feeling that India can change, India will change, was very much there. The extent was not known.
Mr. Chandra, I remember in one of the interviews you had mentioned that in one of your closed-door meetings with some of the regulators then and some of the ministers, when you first floated this idea that something like this can happen and television will become a multi-billion-dollar industry, I believe they laughed it off. What was your reaction then and how that conviction prevailed over everything else?
Yeah, that was the time when Zee had already started and it had captured quite a lot in the Indian households. We already had reached about 15-20 million homes. And in the parliament, there were these discussions that this is an illegal industry, or these people are illegally doing this. So a parliamentary committee was set up. And before the committee met, I took kind of lead and I met most of the political parties and their member parliaments. And when we took some numbers, there was nobody who was tracking this industry because it was not an industry at that time. It was not recognized. Neither FICCI nor any of those consulting firms or anybody. And when I said that by 2000, this total entertainment industry, including movies, music, television, all put together was about $250 million equivalent industry. And I said it will be in excess of $5 billion by 2000. Then naturally they were to laugh. And some of the people in those MPs were also belonging to the media industry, especially newspapers. And they quietly came out and told, Subhash bhai, kya karte ho? Kya baat hai? Kya objective hai tumhara? So those kind of things existed, but I think we did cross that number probably much before. So it was, and I think it took for the government of India also 2 years before they could come up with some regulation. Till 1997, 5 years we remained virtually an illegal industry.
Right. Rakesh, you have always located such companies which have, obviously, I mean, which have remained wealth creators over a period of time. But when Zee started, it was also beginning of liberalization to India. In fact, if correctly put, Zee to an extent liberalized the Indian audiences and exposed them to global tastes and the global events also. What was your initial thought when you started tracking Zee?
See, first of all, I can tell you one thing, that when Zee came out with a public issue, there used to be a big curb trade on the premium. And I remember having made tons of money. And I think the issue came at 20 rupees premium, it came at
30 rupees.
20 rupees premium, you know,
yeah.
in the market it was available at 4 premium and 7 premium. And I bought a lot of shares and I sold on listing, but I made tons of money. Secondly, what I...
Shared with me. You haven't shared with me.
I wish I'd held on to the shares instead of taking that money that time. I would have been a far richer man.
Okay.
Secondly, I feel that as Mr. Goyal's typical character is that, you know, the question is that if something has to be done, a way has to be found. I think that's true entrepreneurship. And I think being one of the pioneers in the television industry in India was not an easy job. And of course, money is important to everybody, but I would be equally proud if I was him that I'm a pioneer of an industry today, which is worth how many billions of dollars. Third thing I would like to remark that it's not many who have fought Murdoch and come out successfully. No, he's a record, I mean, and you know, he knows how to put money on the table. I mean, Wall Street Journal, 5 billion means 5 billion. And I knew they were partners once, and they had disputes, and now Zee is still a full match for Star. In other countries where people have fought, you know, he's really humbled people. Finally, I feel that, you know, today my friend Ramesh Damani is very, very bullish on the broadcasting industry, and some of that bullishness has now rubbed on to me. And I feel that, you know, this industry has now come of age. It's a very high fixed cost industry. Marginal profitability is extremely high. I think the winners are already known. I don't think now there are going to be fresh incumbents in the industry. The top 4 are already known. And I personally, being the bull that I am on India, I mean, today nobody is paying for the channels. You know, today you see the latest movie in 1.5 months. If you today, even a poor man goes and sees a movie, it costs 60 rupees. So I see a very, very, very big growth in the subscription income of TV channels. And I also see a very big growth in the advertising. Because I think India is going to be a far bigger consumer market than it is. So in an industry where the winners are known, it's a high fixed cost industry, marginal profitability is extremely high, entry barriers are also extremely high, subscription revenues are going to go up, advertising is to go up. I have to accept that what Ramesh projects is truly, even today, my opinion. So I think the best of Zee is still ahead of it, right, and of the Indian broadcasting industry. And I personally think what Zee has done in the last 2 decades, I will not be surprised if it does that in the next decade. Because, you know, the industry has matured. I think India is going to grow, despite all the gloom, far faster than people think. So what else can I say? I mean, I wish I was not only an investor, but a pioneer like Mr. Goyal. But God does not give everything to everybody, right? Because it's really exciting to do something in life. You know, the process, the fight, is, I think, for any entrepreneur or investor, far more exciting than the victory. So what else can I say? Congratulations, good luck. And also I must mention that Zee, I mean, I don't know, Mr. Goyal may not like it, but I think the last 5 years, my personal feeling is that Zee is a far better managed company than it was earlier. Far more stable cash flows, right? And sir, I only lie once when I tell my wife the number of drinks I had. But I deserve the right to be wrong. So I think everything is growing right for Zee. I think it will have a glorious future. My best wishes.
जैसे अपना एक तरफ से तो मैं समझता हूँ कि मैं 20 साल का हो गया, दूसरी तरफ जब अपने बच्चे को आप जवान होता तो देखते हो तो आप खुश होते हो। देखिए, जी में हम कुछ ना कुछ नया हमेशा करते ही रहे हैं और आगे भी करते रहेंगे। आप ज़रूर देखेंगे बहुत कुछ, बहुत इट्स अच्छा लर्निंग एक्सपीरियंस रहा है इसके ऊपर, क्योंकि इसमें सब कुछ ऊंचा नीचा सभी कुछ देखने को मिला। और जब आदमी उस ऊंचाई नीचाई से सब सीखता है, तो मैंने भी बहुत कुछ सीखा।
Congratulations to the Zee group. It's actually, personally, I felt been a very good experience for me to watch Zee Entertainment in Boston, which kept me totally connected to Indian culture by watching all the different shows that they produce. So I actually found it quite useful personally as well. So congratulations.
Prashant, also my question is for you now. I mean, obviously your levels of scrutiny and levels of expectation from management, the vision, everything is, I would say, very high. And still you have always remained focused on this sector, on this group also. What is the basic underlying thought that goes into decision making when you select such sectors or such groups?
No, I think the basic decision making for selecting any sector is the same. I mean, I think first and foremost is the sustainability of a business, and I think differentiation leads to sustainability. It's the overall industry growth. I think this is a growing industry, and Zee has been a very competitive player in that industry. And as Rakeshji mentioned, we have also seen improvement in transparency, corporate governance, management practices, all of that.
Right. Rhythm, now if we draw a parallel between, to an extent, Zee story and India story, it's almost, you can easily see the parallels, you know. As India globalized, Zee also grew, it became bigger. But at this point, if you have to take a macro view of Indian markets and then the sectors or the players who will create wealth going forward, which are the most comfortable areas for you at this point?
So I certainly agree with Ramesh, and we've been discussing this for the last 2 years on media, I think, at various points in time. So I think media would actually feature quite high, and I think Vallabh Rakeshji made this point about the next 10 years being equal to the last 20. To me, actually, it appears to be a sector which is in its second birth. So, you know, in the mid-90s, we got the first wave of liberalization, and the sector, you know, created a lot of wealth. Unfortunately, we got a bubble at the end of the 90s. Nothing to do with India. It was a global thing, and stocks got overvalued, and then we had to go through a period of underperformance for the sector, which was nothing to do with the intrinsic fundamentals. It was just to do with the starting point of valuations. And I think we've come out of that period, and now I think the fundamentals are about to actually inflect. So we've been actually very bullish on the sector for the last year and a half or so. And you know, some of these stocks have been on our top buy list, and they continue to be there. And I see that thing continuing for the next few years. So I would say media is certainly one sector. Generally speaking, I think you want to buy financials, you want to buy consumer stocks, and you know, select industrials, and media would come in that consumer basket.
Right. Mr. Bansali, my question is for you now. You know, in fact, the good part about this discussion is that we have almost everyone who's sitting here is very positive on India story, very bullish on India story. You also remain ever optimistic. Going forward, if we have to, and since you are the pioneers as far as launching this industry in capital markets is concerned, the way this industry has performed, there have been some very strong players, or I would say very sound players. At the same time, some of the players have suffered also because of the various issues. So this differentiation between men and boys so far, how it has played out for the industry?
And I think Subhashji said that 30% compounding of returns on the stock hides a very tough, very rugged, very painful story at times. So I think it's not an easy sector at all, anywhere in the world. The success rate in this sector is very, very low. It is probably sub 10%, whether it is magazines, whether it is channels, whether it is newspapers, and so on. And I think that's what is being played out in India also. So if you see that amongst the foreign players and Indian players, you can have share of revenue, but to have share of profits is an entirely different story. So the classic rule used to be that number one and number two player make most of the money and the others keep coming and going. So I think it's kind of being played out here. Also the capital, unlike some of the other segments of media, this segment is very capital intensive. A lot of money has to be spent upfront. And it's not only that, I think you have to be dynamic, you have to be ahead of time, you have to make the investment. And if you look at Zee's story, for a young company in India, there aren't many parallels who thought of backward integration at a time when it was not easily visible. Secondly, when there were a lot of challenges. So I think to the point that others have already made, that only those players who have the management vision and the financial muscle to invest ahead of time are going to really make it. And those who come for, the last buck, the fast opportunity, they have not been able to make it. If you look at the whole regulatory mechanism, as Subhashji said that, what the government understanding was as we were launching the channel. In 97, what the understanding of the legislator in the country was. We had the Cable Act passed many years ago. It just got, it's likely to become effective now. So if you see that on the back of that regulation, the opportunity in the market, what Ramesh and others have talked about, is going to be dramatically different. Because in this case, the DTH and cable investment made by strong players has been fantastic. So I think there are many, many barriers in this sector. And I think men and boys separation in this will be more stark than many other sectors.
Right. Subhash, in fact, you have also mentioned that going forward, the fabric of this industry will change as far as revenue is concerned. And at the same time, broadcasters will have to become narrowcasters at the platforms where the entertainment or this information will be received will keep evolving. So going forward, let's say for next 5 to 7 years, like you rightly mentioned, what is your outlook as far as the revenue streams for this industry are concerned?
See, as we all know that the cable legislation as it is intended in the 97, 98 or even which was amended in 2000, today I think as we sit here, it's being implemented. And that will change. I say that the journey of this industry, which started in 1992, the 2.0 is now starting for this industry. And it will see quite a lot of dramatic change. I must also say and admit that the quality of programming of this industry, though it has improved quite a lot, but still we need to get far better quality of programming, which may be, today also I feel sitting here and being online and all the viewers are also listening. I must admit our failure that even today for value-added programming, we still have to look at Discovery, we have to still look at history, we still have to look at National Geography. There is, we still have to have a public service broadcasting in this country, apart from making profits and giving 30% return year on year. So there are so many things which are required to be done in terms of quality of programming by us, because the newcomer, those who have come, those who simply ape the success stories.
Right.
They haven't chalked out their own path and their own plan. No new kind of programming has been seen by households yet, from Indian standpoint of view. So I think we will see those, because now the subscription revenues will also flow in with the digitization. Today, for example, my advertising rate per 10 seconds is same what used to be 10 years ago.
10 years back.
And 10 years ago, I was delivering probably 40 million households. Today, we are delivering 100 million households in India. But still, the rate is same because of lack of proper quantification, proper research and everything, and because of analog delivery of the cable system, you were not able to say by this way that, no, I have so many viewers and so many households. So that all will change, and that will bring in the much required money, which should then be reinvested in the programming.
Right. Rhythm, my question is for you now. Since you track global markets and the way this sector has, I mean, we have some of the really large world-scale studios, globally renowned studios in West. Here, obviously, I mean, barring few players, we don't have that. But if you have to take a macro view and then compare India as a market with those countries, as far as this sector is concerned or this industry is concerned, what is your outlook? How much money you would put on this sector, or I would say how much allocation would be ideal at this point? I'm not asking you to be stock specific, I can see the smile on your face, but would be ideal if you have to take, let's say, a 10-year view?
No, so I think there will be cathartic change. There will be, I think, a lot of consolidation. So the size of the studios in India, I think, will grow exponentially. Distribution will be very critical, I think. So you want to invest in distribution. I think Subhashji made this point about content versus access. I think it's about access. It's about having the customer. Content is not going to be as crucial as the access to the customer is going to be. So distribution will be crucial. So there are some sub-segments which will probably do a lot better. So maybe the content, people will face more competition, whereas there will be consolidation in distribution and production. So those areas may, I think, grow faster. With regards to your question on portfolio allocation, I think, that's a very investor-specific question, because it's all about risk appetite and, what your risk-reward framework is. But, as I said, that I think the consumer sector should occupy a large space in everybody's portfolio. And discretionary consumption, in my view, in India is going to grow very rapidly. Remember today, even today, if you look at the country as a whole, food is a very large component of our total consumption. Its share will decline, and it will get replaced by things like entertainment, the internet, and travel, because that's what Indians will eventually do in the next 10 years. And I think entertainment will be a very large portion of the spend that we have. I can see my daughter actually, doing that. She's still very young, but she spends a lot more time on entertainment than what we've done in the past. So I think that's going to be a very critical part of everyone's portfolio. So I can't actually peg a percentage number, but I think you have to be invested in the specific areas of the media sector which will consolidate and therefore grow quite rapidly.
Right. Mr. Bansali, would you like to add to that?
I think to say that whether this will be amongst the top 5 allocations, answer would be yes. But to say how much will be the allocation is clearly a matter of risk appetite, what the valuations are, and so on. So that would be difficult, but it will always attract the attention of the portfolio manager as something to reckon with very seriously.
Right. Now, before we throw the...
I would like to make
Yeah,
up the
please.
entertainment thing. That, see, they say discretionary consumption goes to the roof beyond $1,600, $1,800 per capita. Now, we can't, it's not that it's going to explode one day. Delhi has $10,000 of per capita income. Bombay will be having 7,000.